Welcome everybody to the Wine Access Experience. I'm Eduardo Dingler, Vice President of Wine for Wine Access, and this is our head of wine and newly minted. I love saying that, newly minted master of wine.
When does that wear off?
10 years later. Okay. Just keep riding the wave.
Yeah.
But
this old master of wine.
We are honored today. I want to say cheers and honored to have an amazing power couple join us today, and I will set them in right here. Well, that's meant a lot in our lives and amazing wines.
Absolutely. I mean, two of my
Get over here.
favorite people and people
He's coming.
Hey!
Hey guys.
So great to
Philippe
see
is coming. He's right here. There we go.
Hey, there they are.
Great.
Nice to see you guys.
Good. So excited to chat with you. We were just saying it's such an honor. You two are like such the power couple, each with your own amazing experiences and knowledge professionally. And I had the great honor of working with Philippe at Melka Estates for many years. So it's great to see you again. And thanks for chatting with us.
Yeah, we'll raise a glass for you guys.
Happy to be there.
And what a treat. I mean, Cherie and Philippe, you guys have been together. I mean, if I recall right, you've been together since '94, and I mean, your histories could not be the more successful. I mean, resonating in the industry from Ridge to I don't know, to Moyo, Moex, all over the place, back and forth. Petrus, BV, Silver Oak. I mean, you have a lot of richness that you bring into your brand every day.
Yeah, so I guess I'm curious with all this history with great wines of the world, what do you take from experiences in great other estates and then apply to your own wines under the Melka label?
Not to start too serious, but
well,
that's a big question.
Vanessa, good to see you again, Eduardo, as well. Thanks for having us, first of all. That's really cool to catch up. And it's a very important question. Basically, I think we got really lucky to start to work in a business with some really strong names, but not only names. People who really have great foundation of winemaking. So we were important to us, but really very business savvy guys as well. So they have this kind of good roots of the wine business. That's what was really important to us. So we got lucky to, first of all, test some great wine from the start between Ridge for Cherie and Dominus and obviously some other wineries on my side. So we learn how to test and appreciate greatness from the start. And we never basically went to the other side, if I had to say it. We stayed that route. We really wanted to be part of this, I would say, elite, of the wine business, and at least with our own spirit and philosophy, trying to do the best we could on our own.
So,
yeah. And I think if I were going to add anything, I think what's really interesting is that the variety of sizes of different wineries that we worked with gave us kind of a broader knowledge base for not only how they kind of systematically do their tastings or production, but also on the business side of things, on sales. So we did get to see not only the luxury smaller brand, but also luxury sought after larger brand. I mean, Silver Oak was one of those iconic, or it still is, iconic brands that was so sought after. The release parties were lines out the door, but it was a pretty large production between both Alexander Valley and Napa when I was there, at least. So I think that really kind of helped us see both sides of the coin for how we really wanted to do our own label.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what is it like working as a couple on this wine? And what do you agree on, and are there things that you often disagree on?
That's so true.
I get to start first. I guess, in the beginning, I have to be, if I'm going to be 100% honest, in the beginning, it was one of those really tough ones because we were both having other day jobs. I was either at BV or Silver Oak, and we started the brand kind of really small, folding release letters and order forms, at night in our bedroom. And every time we would have a little meeting to talk about our business, Philippe was famous for always asking me one question about the business that I didn't have the answer to, like, how much did we do this or what percentage of that? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm still trying to get the kids to their, baseball practice, and, you're juggling a million things when in the beginning of what we started. But I think now, if I fast forward to 2020, I think now with the winery and we have our roles that we play, we respect each other for what we bring to the table, and it's really pretty easy peasy. Where in the beginning it was not, but.
Wow. And
No,
remind me what?
yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Philippe.
No, I mean, Eduardo, yeah. So, I mean, thank you. I wanted to give a quick
Please,
version,
Doug.
but at least, it's we could have a lot of fun with this, obviously. But on my side, it's like the only way we could have make it work, first of all, is to actually have other job at the beginning, not to be 100% into this together at all time, and also to grow organically. I think that's part of the philosophy and who we are. We didn't want to arrive in this business with a big bang. We wanted to really grow ourselves and learn and slowly kind of put the brand to where it is right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Remind me what year you guys decided to do the first commercial release?
96.
Wow. Crazy.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we're coming up on the 25th year, so.
Wow.
That's why, we always, at the beginning, the brand was, we didn't want to compete with a consulting business. So we kept this brand really on a low gear, or whatever to say it, for a long time, until we arrived to a point where we were like, okay, it's either way we stop right there because we've done it, or we're trying to really push a little bit the envelope and go to the second gear. And that's what we decided to do, I would say, back in 2003, 2005 kind of thing.
Yeah.
And our dream was like, a lot of young, at the time, vineyards was to really finally build an estate, build a winery. Mm-hmm. And it took us basically 25 years to really reach this point. Yeah.
Yeah. Incredible.
I think it was actually our 21st vintage, because we finally started to do harvest t-shirts, and for the very first harvest in 2017, it was our 21st vintage. So the harvest t-shirt said 21 and finally legal, because we were able to do it on our own property. So
that is so cool.
21st. Yeah.
How many SKUs are you guys working with within the Melka Estates?
8 to 10. Too many. 8 to 10. 8 to 10, depending on the year.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, this wine is
beautiful. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was looking at the wine in our glass.
Yeah, we're enjoying right now the 15 Macara Prop Red, which
Prop
is
Red.
a beautiful balance. And I've been really curious on how you guys came together with this vineyard. I mean, you're a big flagship about Knights Valley. So
I think most people associate it with Napa. So how do you approach this differently, and why did you decide to work with Knights Valley?
Well, I mean, you can see it literally both ways. It's like always by accident, a touch, and also because we were like, I was so overwhelmed with cab, and I started my career a little bit with the right bank kind of feel, so more Merlot Cab Franc. So I always wanted to do this, and Cherie always loved Cheval Blanc. That was always, I know it's easy to say, but one of favorite wine when we spend time in Bordeaux. So we always had kind of this dream. So when we had this opportunity to get this vineyard, we just took it. This land. Yeah, it was a raw land at the time.
You started.
We just jumped on it. Yeah. It was, and we could see, and still obviously now we can still see Peter Michael is just below us. Mm-hmm. So we knew that this part of the hill, this part of the appellation, probably has a little bit of quality, I would say, behind it. So we had a little bit of this, obviously, a good vibe. Even if we are looking more like the Chardonnay of Peter Michael, and we wanted to really plant Cabernet Franc and Merlot, Bordeaux Heritage, and for the white we did Sauvignon Blanc, again,
Which is
Heritage.
one of my all-time favorites.
I know.
You know
Thank
that.
you.
We
I
do.
know.
Thank you for all the support those years at Morimoto, and yeah,
It's a no-brainer.
you increased our fan base big time.
That is my most prized bottles.
Why is
Cool.
it still down on the list? Well, it's because
Yeah,
Eduardo in
it
the
was
corner.
gone.
It's at the bottom.
You have to.
Breaking it. So basically, you could say, to recap, that Peter Michael looks up to you.
Exactly. That's what I love.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
we're a little player, obviously, compared to them, but it's you know, it's very unique. I mean, so the name is Melka. It starts with a weird name, but it's really an homage to my dad. It's the name of his the river, you know, from his hometown. And basically, it's probably the highest in elevation in California, I'm pretty sure. I mean, you know, it's always controversial. I don't know every single vineyard, but when you're between 23 to 2,500, you know, in elevation feet,
Yeah.
so you don't see a lot of vineyard at this altitude. I'm talking about California. I don't think there is anything like this, so it's very unique.
Every
Yeah.
sip. It really has a lot of structure and tension, and I always find it very
Elegant
mouth
and powerful
watering.
at the same time.
Certainly.
Yeah, beautifully balanced. I
Yeah.
had a question for both of you. So just kind of going back to both of your amazing resumes and history. So how do you stay inspired, and what is piquing your interest now?
You know, it's really when you get older, you really feel about the quality of life. You become like, you want to be much more efficient. That, you know, when you're young, you want to try a million different things. You're excited about all kind of things, overexcited, I would say. So I think what we really gain with maturity, it's we want to be efficient, but we understand so much better what quality means.
Yeah.
And at the end, a palate still evolved. I mean, I always say, I don't like the same wine that I used to like 15 years ago. I'm looking to do something else also. I'm evolving with, I guess, the market. I'm evolving with the world. It's like, as you guys know, it's like the food industry as well. We don't eat the same food that we used to eat 15 years ago. So it's a little bit the same thing. So you stay really keep alert and still keep young, and you still have the feel like you're doing you're making a new baby every year, and you basically don't you don't know anything.
Yeah.
Almost. So that's what we still, I think, so excited about keep going in this business. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's really we're trying to find things that not necessarily inspire us, Vanessa, but I would say that educate us a little bit more. So, you know, picking a specific wine region that we want to visit. We tried to take one trip per year, not this year, of course, but one trip per year where we can, you know, go visit something and really learn about the area and taste the wines from there. And I think wine education trips are always, they're fun and they're fantastic at the same time, but it doesn't necessarily skew how we approach the winemaking that we're doing. But at least it is good inspiration, but it's more for wine education than anything.
And based on that, on your education, because I know you guys are always constantly feeding it of each other's education and learning and traveling. I had a question. If you weren't making wine in Napa Valley or in California in general and Bordeaux per se, please, I mean, is there a place you guys have talked about as I don't know,
It
anywhere?
looks like this is the answer to yes. Based on your reaction, Philippe.
And don't worry, nobody's watching.
No, it's
Just us.
us.
I can tell you, it's like those days with 105 degrees. I feel like I need to move to Alaska to make some wine. That's what it feels like. But because we, as you know, we're more like Bordeaux grapes, let's say pedigree. There's not so many amazing quality kind of places, but I think honestly we're going to have to think a little bit outside the normal those days. I mean, I feel more and more that we are more and more challenged that in Bordeaux and Napa, obviously, which I still feel like this is probably the best two sides here. And we can go. I mean, there's Cabernet-made wines all around the world, and we try them all, and we have a chance to travel, like Cherie was saying. I still feel like it's kind of the best, but we always think about, okay, let's say what is our next stage in our life, and where should we go to get a brain excited? And it's not easy answer so far.
No.
So I'll try to, maybe we'll do another session next year, and I'll hopefully I'll have the answer on my side. Maybe Cherie had it.
No, I think we talked somewhat about Washington State, just because that's where I'm from. And we can, yeah, exactly. But it's not anything that we're committed to. It's just one of those things that you toy with. But I like Oregon, even though it's more of a Burgundy area. But I think if we were going to stick to winemaking, it would be in Washington State for me, anyway.
Yeah. So you can't see the very fancy, professional studio we have here in my kitchen. We actually have Eduardo's iPad propped up on it's one of the beautiful Donna wood boxes from Lotus Vineyard, which of
Beautiful.
course reminds me of again my time there with you, Philippe, which was so special. But I have a question. It's for both of you. But I was thinking, leading into this about our time there, and I remember being, I'd be in the dining room of the winery, and I'd look out into Helms Vineyard. And, right before harvest, and you're out there and you're like tasting and tasting and tasting and tasting. So my question is, how much do you each base on that? Just sort of taste, instinct, sensory experiences versus what you're hearing from the laboratory.
Numbers, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you heard it many times that it's like it can go both ways. I mean, you have this younger generation who are like always talking about, oh, we never look at numbers, and we always kind of have a creativity prime first. I still feel like, that's really what should be the evolution of life. You start really to be a technician, and then you let the artistry, because you know vineyards and your experience is so strong on the technicability of the winemaking, that then suddenly the numbers are not making really the same sense that they used to be. But I think honestly, on our slides, like, it's a balance. I mean, you have to be, you have to use everything you can to really make the great one. Why to deny I will say data, which are also very important and useful. For example, right now, I'm looking we just harvested a Chardonnay yesterday from Knights Valley. We're just making a couple of barrels. It's a very, very tiny little block. And yeah, exactly. So I was looking at, okay, when did we pick the last time? So early, it's extremely early, and it was 2017. So, you have to look at data and which kind of also numbers we pick out to get a feel of the vintage. So numbers are also help you to really amplify your sense of creativity. So you don't want to deny that.
Yeah, I concur 100%. I mean, obviously it's about the taste, but you need to look at the data to decide educationally and intelligently winemaking decisions, picking dates and all that. It's not that you do that all the way through the aging of the life, but particularly for harvest, it's a great indicator of the vintage. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
So speaking of harvest, and you've already started, what do you each have your own kind of routine that you get into, like heading into harvest, to kind of keep your energy going, or a playlist or a morning?
Good question.
Well, I mean, I moved from 2 espresso a day to 8 espressos a day. That's what's happening. And then after, you're right, the playlist is important. You have to stay awake a little bit longer. And the key is when to shut down. So, when I start writing work orders who don't make any sense, and I have all the winemakers email me back and say, sorry, I really didn't understand what you meant.
Your work order says, pick block B and then give me a back rub.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm more of the afternoon, evening worker, and he's more the morning guy. So he's up early doing his work orders, and I'm better later in the day, all throughout the day. And the other guideline is you have to wear shorts until the last fruit is in. That's key.
That's a good one.
Especially right now, it's like Mayan and I and Cherie, actually, we all three have shorts. So we moved to harvest mode. So, but what we don't realize also, it seems silly, but I'm driving an SUV because you spend a lot of time being in and out of the car. Every time you go to a vineyard, you go out to either test the fruit or get some samples, you're back in and back and forth. And it's so much easier for your back. So you have to also physically, it's mentally, but also physically think that you have to basically, at least for us, work at least 2 months straight. So you really want to make sure that physically you can do it. So there's a little bit of this push about not be too crazy at the beginning. We're not trying to be young again and, you know, starting shoveling and lifting stuff and doing all kind of physical work. We have to be a little bit more careful than in the past.
So I have a question. So obviously you crewed this amazing team all the way from Sylvie in the Melka side in the States, and Mayan, who we're huge fans of, and your whole team. I mean, it's countless, right? And you guys in the center here. So if I'm a young person, because I know plenty of people are wondering this.
You're
and
still young, Eduardo.
For a second, right? But there's a lot of people that are actually watching this or will watch it and ask if they could ask you. What advice do you give to a young winemaker or somebody that falls in love with wine and say, oh my God, I see Philippe Melka, not only we all think it, but Parker has said you're one of the top 9 in the world. And I mean, you don't need that accolades, you know, and we know, right? But what would you tell them? Just no pressure.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I'll tell them right away, don't create your own brand, please. You know, so that's the first thing. And secondly, I would say, you know, I mean, at least I had even a text not long ago. If they, for example, they come out of school, they ask me, I have this guy ask me, I love Zinfandel, I'm a big fan. Should I try to make Zinfandel or should I try to work in a famous winery? And I feel like, first of all, it doesn't really matter about the type of grapes you are working with. The more important is getting great foundation of winemaking. So you really want to work with anybody who really have those foundations. Yeah. And then you growing up, as soon as you understand those foundation of winemaking, then you can do anything. I mean, really in terms of winemaking and the grapes you like to work with. So I always really encourage them to really work for the right people and for the right winery.
Yeah. And with the knowledge, I mean, the connections that these guys have, they often get asked, can you help me find something in Australia or New Zealand or Israel, for example? So even, you know, between Mayan and Philippe, they definitely can help the younger generation gain some experience.
That's amazing. So just send you an email. If somebody
you know, especially right now.
Especially right now, yeah.
No problem.
Fire's burning all around. Harvest is here. No problem.
Oh, on a less serious note, and I'm sorry to cut it again. Cherie and Philippe, out of all your hobbies, because we know there's marathon running,
surfing, right?
Surfing,
yes.
golfing. What are your favorites?
You skateboard too, right? Do you skateboard?
Well, I mean, you really, in all those things, I'm a very, very much of a beginner. But I would say we just like to be outdoors. That's why we love California. At the end, you know, everybody's a little bit different. We do a lot of more hiking as well. So we actually walk the dogs a lot. We have a couple of crazy dogs. And the good part of COVID was to be able, the dogs were very spoiled. They had to walk every day almost. So we love to go for like an hour, 2 hours, depending on how much time we have. Yeah. It's really helped our mind and obviously the physical approach. And then after, if you want to be more exotic, we go to, you know, I grew up, people don't realize in Bordeaux, the Atlantic Ocean is only a half an hour. So even when you're in Bordeaux, you can take your car and go there for the afternoon. You get some good oysters, a lot of wine, and then you go surfing.
Bam! Life is good.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I love it. Well, we absolutely adore your wines. We're so honored, to partner with you. So kind of you to share a little bit of your day with us. I have one last question.
Please.
But before that, I also wanted to just say thank you to both of you because when I was studying for the Master of Wine, the theory exam, I peppered you both with a lot of questions, and you were always very kind and generous with your knowledge. I remember, Philippe, I'd see you like walking across the crush pad, and I would like take off and be like, let's talk about pH, and you're like, I kind of have to. But so thank you.
Of course.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Come on, of course.
Yeah.
So the question is, and this is for both of you, you can answer individually or together, however you prefer. But
Sure.
We've asked this to a number of people. I like this question. So is there one person doesn't have to be in the wine business and can be dead or alive, but that you would just love to sit down, crack open a bottle, and just have a conversation with that you've never met?
Go ahead.
I would have to say Michelle Obama, and not because the convention just happened. This was somebody, I read her book. I think she's an amazing woman. What I loved about that book was that a lot of people didn't know how far advanced she was in her own career when she became First Lady. So I just found it super inspiring. So I think she'd be a lot of fun too. She likes good music and good food and good wine. So I'd say Michelle Obama.
Watching and reach out.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Who knows? We'll be ready for her. She has a big personality. On the wine side, I would say Chef. I like to go back on time. It's always, I think, one of the figure really of the Napa Valley, and I never was able to meet him, so that would have been great just to learn and pick up his brain. But well. I have to choose somebody else.
No, you don't.
This is a time traveling question, so
I love it. It's a good one.
totally valid. Well, thank you for arranging this, Eduardo.
Oh my God, no! Thank you guys for always being there. I mean, we're big fans. I always say personally, and obviously with your talent, it's a no-brainer. Huge.
Likewise, guys. Thank you so much for the support and partnering with us. Cheers.
Cheers to the team.
Thanks for having us.
Cheers to everyone.
It was great to see you both, and good luck with COVID, and stay healthy, guys.
Stay safe, guys.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Okay, cheers.
Bye, guys.
Cheers. Thank you.
I think they end it, don't they? Do they end it?